Hello students, today I will discuss about Unit 9 of Environmental Studies, in which we will discuss about the name Environmental Pollutions and Hazards, and in Hindi that is called Paryavaraniya Pradushan or Sankat. Now in this unit we will learn about the pollutions and pollutants, what are the various types of pollutants and what is pollutions, and identify major types of pollutants that contaminate our air, water and soil. Then after that we'll discuss about the importance of temperature range for the living organisms, and after that various types of water quality parameters like dissolved oxygen, COD, chemical oxygen demand, like BOD, biological oxygen demand, MPN number, and total dissolved solubility. So TDS. And the last we'll discuss about the reason for high noise level in the urban areas. So we'll discuss all these parameters step by step. So first I'm just discussing about the definition of the pollutions, how we can define pollutions. So now you can see pollution is defined as any undesirable change in the physical, chemical or biological characteristics of environment components, that is your air, water and soil, that adversely affects the life form and life support system of the biosphere, that is called pollutions. And next is your pollutants, the agents that contaminates the environmental component is called pollutant. So now I'm just repeating this part. The agent that contaminates the environmental component is called pollutants. Pollutant is a new substance, either it may be a biotic or abiotic. It means living or non-living, or energy. Energy maybe it may be heat, sound or radioactivity that is added to in any component of the environment and builds up to a level where usefulness of that component is damaged. This is called pollutants. It is divided into two broad categories. One is non-biodegradable pollutants and second is biodegradable pollutants. First, I am just discussing about non-biodegradable pollutants. Pollutants that remain in an unchanged form in the environment for a very long time, such as pesticides, heavy metals, rubber, nuclear waste, plastics also falls in the same category. Such substances are not broken down or decomposed by the bacteria. This is called non-biodegradable pollutants. Now next is your biodegradable pollutants. Now generally pollutants such as paper, garden waste, domestic sewage, agro-based residues and fertilizers break down into simple products by bacterial decomposition product. These simple products are raw material of nature and are reutilized in the ecosystem. These biodegradable pollutants pose a threat when their input in the environment exceeds their decomposition capacity. So in that case, this also becomes the pollutants. Pollutants can enter the environment either through a point or a known point sources. Now I am just showing you that how pollutants can enter the environment. First is the point source. These are distinct and confined sources that discharge the pollutants or effluents through a chimney or through a discharge channel, such as pipes or tunnels from industries or municipal areas. And second is non-point sources, or the areas that are diffuse sources discharging pollutants over a large area. Some of the examples are runoffs from construction sites and agriculture. So in short, we can say that point sources are discharge channels or chimneys, and non-point sources are uh, some runoff from construction sites and agriculture fields. So these are the two different types of sources, point sources or non-point sources. Now we are moving toward the air pollutions. To stay alive, the average adult human being exchange about 6 times more amount of gases per day as compared to daily consumptions of food and water. So as compared to food and water, we are taking much more amount of gases per day. Dry air contains about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen and 0.04% carbon dioxide and some small amount of other gases. Air also contains variable amount of water vapors. And now we are just discussing about the types of air pollutants. Okay, how many types of air pollutants are there? First is natural pollutants, and second is primary pollutant, and third is secondary pollutant. So we will discuss about all these three step by step. So first one is the natural pollutants. These pollutants are released from natural sources or as a result of natural activities. So these, I'm just repeating this part. natural pollutants. These pollutants are released from natural sources or as a result of natural activity. Some examples are pollens and volatile organic compounds from plants, and gases from sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfides from volcanic eruptions, and decay of organic materials, particles from wildfires and seas. These are some of the natural pollutants. In general, natural emissions are low in concentration and do not cause any serious damage. So natural pollutants do not cause any serious damage to the human beings or to the environment. Second is your primary pollutants. These pollutants are emitted directly into the air as a result of natural or human activities. Examples are sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and particulates released from fuel burning. So these are primary pollutants. Now the third one is secondary pollutants. Secondary pollutants are produced as a result of chemical reactions between primary pollutant and normal atmospheric compound. I am just repeating this part because very important for examination point of view. What are secondary pollutants? Secondary pollutants are produced as a result of chemical reactions between the primary pollutants and normal atmospheric components under the influence of electromagnetic radiations from the sun. For example, primary pollutants sulfur dioxide reacts with oxygen in the atmosphere to form sulfur trioxide, a secondary pollutant. So sulfur trioxide is a secondary pollutant, whereas primary pollutant is sulfur dioxide and reacts with oxygen and forms sulfur trioxide, a secondary pollutant. Sulfur trioxide further reacts with water vapor to form another secondary pollutant, that is your sulfuric acid, which is a component of the acid rain. Nitrogen dioxide also contribute in the formation of other secondary pollutant, that is your peroxyacetyl nitrate, that is also called PAN, PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate. This is also very important for examination point of view and for MCQ also, and nitric acid. So nitrogen dioxide contributes the formation of secondary pollutants, that is your PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate, and nitric acid. Now next is your air pollutions and atmospheric problems. Now acid rain, smoke, global warming, and ozone depletions are some of the effects of pollutions in our atmosphere. These are the some effects in our effects of pollutions in our atmosphere, that is your acid rain, smoke, global warming, and ozone depletions. Now next is your suspended particulate matter, SPM, which is called SPM, suspended particulate matter. SPM is an in the ambient air is a complex and variable mixture of different size particles. So SPM are different size particles with many chemical components. Larger particles are trapped by the nose here. So whatever the larger particles are there, they are trapped by the nose here and breathing tubes. Whereas particles smaller than 10 mm in the size, known as PM10, are respirable suspended particulate matter, RSPM. Particle smaller than 10 mm, 10 millimeters in size, known as PM10, are respirable suspended particulate matter, RSPM. This is also very important for examination point of view. RSPM, what is RSPM and what is the full name of RSPM? Respirable suspended particulate matter. Now finer particles of size less than 2.5 mm are known as PM2.5. They can be inhaled deep in the lungs and cause a lot of trouble. So PM2.5 is more dangerous. Study of ambient air quality of some Indian cities conducted by Central Pollution Control Board. Now again, the full name you should know that Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, in recent year, and indicates that many Indian cities such as Raipur, Kanpur, Gwalior, Delhi, Ludhiana have RSPM more than 200 micrograms per cubic meter, whereas the standard level of RSPM is only 60 whereas standard level is only 60 micrograms per cubic meter. So now you can see here the RSPM level is almost 3 times, slightly more than 3 times than your standard level. Standard level is only 60, whereas the at present the what is the level is 200 micrograms per cubic meter, whereas the standard level is 260 micrograms per cubic meter. There was a decreasing trend in the level of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide in the past decade. So it means sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide are decreasing. This could be due to the low sulfur diesel introduced in the Delhi and provision from playing of commercial vehicles more than 15 years old in Delhi. It means they have stopped the vehicles which are 15 years or more old in the Delhi. The use of unleaded petrol has drastically lowered the level of lead in the air in India. So means use of unleaded petrol reduce the level of lead in the air. Next is acid precipitation. Acid precipitation occurs in and around the areas where major emission of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides occur as a result of anthropogenic activities, means as a result of human activities, where a lot of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are emitted. Hydrochloric acid emitted from coal-fired power plants also adds to the acid rain problems. Means hydrochloric acid is also created or also generated from the coal-fired power plants, and whereas soil fertility is adversely affected because acidic water in soil releases immobile heavy metal ions which are highly injurious to plants and other soil biota. So now you can see here these are the effects of on the environments. That is, sometimes hydrochloric acid is created, sometimes heavy metals are generated, or immobile heavy metals which are highly injurious to plants and other soil biota. Now next is what is atmospheric inversion. Now this is also very important for examination point of view. Atmospheric inversion or temperature inversion. Atmospheric or temperature inversion occurs when a stable layer of warmer air lays above the cooler layer. It means warmer layer is above and cooler layer is below. So the exchange is difficult. So the inverted temperature gradient occurs. Air circulates are restricted and pollutants are trapped in the lower atmosphere within the stagnant air mass. It means the lower region where the air is cold, most of the pollutants trapped in the lower atmosphere. Such atmospheric inversion is responsible for dangerous levels of air pollution over polluted cities in India. So this is very dangerous for the polluted cities in India. Next is water pollution. Any physical, biological or chemical change that degrades the water quality results in water pollutions. And now, what are the different types of water pollutions? Water pollutions are divided into major categories. First is biological agents, second is chemical agent, and third is physical agent. So we will discuss about one by one. First is biological agent. Pathogenic organisms like viruses, bacteria, and protozoans are serious water pollutants as far as human health is concerned. And cholera, bacterial typhoid, polio, flu, viral hepatitis, and worm infections are important waterborne diseases. Some insects that have aquatic larvae transmit malaria, dengue, yellow fever, and filariasis. So these are the diseases which are waterborne disease, and these are only because of the biological agents. Second is chemical agent. Chemical pollutants can be inorganic in nature like nitrate, phosphate, acids, salts, and toxic heavy metals. Organic chemical pollutants includes gas, gasoline, pesticide, dyes, paints, plastic, cleaning solvents, and detergents. And radioactive substances that makes the third category of chemical pollutants are released into water bodies as a result of processing of uranium ore and waste from research laboratory. So chemical agents three types. First is inorganic one, second is organic one, and third is radioactive substance. So you should know the examples of these things. Third is physical agents. Suspended solids, sedimentary solids, and temperature are the physical factors that affects the quality of water. These pollutants adversely affects water bodies by silting. Silting means filling up by clays or this, clogging waterways and filling the dams and making the water muddy. So in this way, these suspended solid or sedimentary rocks will uh, block the waterways. Next is water quality parameter, which is very important for examination point of view and for MCQ also. Most of the questions will be asked from this water quality parameter. So there are several parameters applied to assess the quality of water. Water samples are tested for these parameters to ensure that water is fit for consumption. So first one is dissolved oxygen. These parameters we'll discuss slightly later on. And what do you mean by dissolved oxygen? Then second is biological oxygen demand, BOD, chemical oxygen demand, COD, most probable number, MPN, and total dissolved solidity, TDS, are such parameters. Are some such parameters. So first we'll discuss about the dissolved oxygen. So what do you mean by dissolved oxygen? Or in short, we are writing a DO, dissolved oxygen or DO. It refers to the amount of oxygen gas that is dissolved into the water of any water source. So how much oxygen is present in the water source. That is called dissolved oxygen. Higher amount of dissolved oxygen indicates the water quality is good. If the amount of oxygen is good, that water is good. Water quality is good. Low concentration of oxygen contents in the water indicates the presence of organic waste pollutants in water. So if concentration of oxygen is low, which indicates the presence of organic waste pollutants in the water. So this is the meaning of the dissolved oxygen. Second is biological oxygen demand, which is BOD. BOD is a measure of oxygen used by microorganisms such as bacteria to decompose the organic matter like sewage, dead plant leaves, grass, blades and foods. So BOD means wherever the microorganisms use the oxygen. So BOD is measure of oxygen used by microorganisms such as bacteria to decompose the organic matter like sewage, dead dead plant leaves, grass blades, and food waste. If the amount of organic waste is high in the water source, more bacteria will be present to consume the oxygen. Under such condition, polluted conditions demand for oxygen will be high. So under such condition, polluted conditions demand for oxygen will be high, and so the BOD value will be high. With high level of BOD, the level of dissolved oxygen in the water decreases. So in this way, you can see here what is the meaning of the biological oxygen demand. Next is chemical oxygen demand. It is the amount of oxygen required to degrade or break down the organic chemical compounds of wastewater. Water body that receives effluent from chemical industry shows high value of COD. It means how we can define COD? Amount of oxygen required to degrade or break down the organic compounds of wastewater. The next one is most probable number. Most probable number means MPN. The water polluted with organic waste such as sewage or sludge will have high population of bacteria like E. coli and coliforms. So with the help of MPN test, both E. coli and coliforms can be detected. So what is the meaning of that? Coliform is present in the human intestines and is not necessarily harmful to us, but its presence indicates the presence of human waste in the water. So polluted water will show high value of MPN. If the value of MPN is high, it means water is more polluted. If the value of MPN is low, water is less polluted. Next is total dissolved solids, which we are most of the time we are calculate or we are measuring it in your RO water. The amount of salts and solids dissolved in water is measured by testing the TDS, total dissolved solubility, and salinity contents. Some of the dissolved substances that makes the water quality poor are calcium, phosphorus, iron sulfate, carbonate, nitrate, chlorides, etc. So it means if the amount of dissolved salt is more in the water, it means water quality is poor. If the amount of salt, calcium, phosphorus, iron, carbonate, these are less or within permissible range, then the water quality is good. Next is soil pollutions. Land pollution by waste depositions. This contamination of soil and groundwater through landfill is known as leaching. So what is leaching? Leaching means contamination of soil and groundwater through landfills is known as leaching. The uncovered, untreated and unsegregated solid waste are also left in the open dumps. Rainwater runoff from such dump sites contaminate nearby land and water bodies. So when rainwater runoff from such places contaminate nearby land and water bodies. So this is called soil pollutions. Now, what do you mean by bioaccumulations and biomagnifications? Again, these two terms are very important. Now, so far as bioaccumulation is concerned, bioaccumulation refers to the entry of the pollutant in a food chain, entry of the pollutant in the food chain. So it is the increase in the concentration of the pollutant from the environment to the first organism in the food chain. So just remember, bioaccumulation means accumulation of the pollutant to the first organism in the food chain. First, just remember this, increase in the concentration of the pollutant from the environment to the first organism in the food chain. This is called bioaccumulations. Accumulates slowly and slowly accumulations. Biomagnification means increase in number, is the phenomena of increase in the concentration of the pollutant from one link in the food chain to another link. So means whenever there is a pollutant concentration increases from one link to another link. So that is called biomagnifications. So remember, these two terms are very important for examination point of view. The last one is noise pollutions. Noise is any unwanted or exceedingly high level of sound that can annoy, cause stress, or impair the hearing ability. So this is called noise pollution. The main source of noise pollution are industrial operations, machines, vehicles, railways, aircraft, military arms and ammunition, construction work and recreational places. Loudness or intensity of the sound is measured on a scale called decibel. Decibel, or in write down small dB, that is called decibel. And the instrument which measure this loudness is called decibel meter. Apart from pressure, sound also has a pitch. Instead of this pressure, sound also has a pitch. High pitch sound is more annoying. High pitch sound is more annoying than low pitch sound of the same intensity. Unit that measure both pressure and pitch of the sound. The unit that measure both the pressure and pitch of the sound is called decibel A, dBA. So sometimes they may ask what is the unit of the sound which measure both pressure and pitch of the sound. That is called decibel A. So this is the last topic in there. So in this unit, you have learned about the definition of pollutions and pollutants, identify the major types of pollutants that contaminate our air, water and soil, and importance of temperature, range for the living organisms, and water quality parameters, and reason for high noise levels in the urban areas. Now thank you very much for watching Unit 9, Environmental Pollution and Hazards, and good luck for your examination. Thank you very much.